Hello everyone, and welcome back to WolfQuest. And we are actually about to meet our second wolf today. The second wolf we'll be following because if you will recall, the Galaxy Pack is actually comprised of a pair of siblings and their future mates. Neither one of them has found a mate yet, and we haven't actually met our second wolf, so let's go ahead and do that now. So we are going to begin our quest, and I don't see any difficulty modifiers, so we are actually going to go ahead. We're going to select challenging, and we will go meet Andromeda. Now, Andromeda is going to be over here, and Andromeda is Nova's little sister. Not little by that much. I mean, they were from the same litter, but mostly little in that she is a little bit smaller, not quite as strong as he is. And let me actually pause and show you her stats and then give you a good overview of what she looks like. So she actually has 30 strength, 70 stamina, and 50 speed. So she's not nearly as fast as her brother, but she does have quite a bit more stamina. And here she is. She is also a very dark wolf, but she has green eyes, unlike her brother's golden eyes. She's also not quite as dark as him. That's a little bit difficult to see now, but if you see the two of them side by side, then you can see pretty clearly that he's almost pitch black. She's like more of a dark charcoal gray. Now Andromeda is not quite as reckless, perhaps, and not quite as aggressive as her brother, but she is still pretty energetic and exuberant. She can be quite feisty though, and she did get herself into a fair bit of trouble when she was little. So she does have a little bit of a reckless streak. It's just not quite as pronounced as his is. And they're actually here together, even though we won't see them playing side by side until the fourth litter. And that will be a little bit of a special litter. I explained it a bit last time in that for the first 3 litters for each of them, we'll have them playing we'll have them playing where you can't see the other and they're raising puppies with their mate. But for the 4th litter, we will actually be playing with one as the NPC wolf and one as the player wolf, and then we'll say that their mates are in the background helping raise the other 4 puppies. So but that will have a special potential implication, assuming we even make it that far, which hopefully we will. But if we manage to make it through all 3 litters with each of them, then the 4th litter will have its own special implications, and it'll be a little bit of a different challenge. Is that a moose? I think that's a moose. I heard a moose back here, I'm pretty sure. Is there a moose up here? I just want to see. There is a fox. Now, Andromeda has some different challenges and abilities and her own special side quest as well. So she's not so geared towards fighting as her brother. In fact, her challenge is that she actually fears bears, which I don't think we're going to have one pop up right here. I was kind of hoping we would, because it is important that she chases off the bears. So she is afraid of bears. Now, she can still fight them. She doesn't just have to accept anytime a bear comes, she's going to have to run. But if she ever takes a hit from a bear, she has to retreat immediately. She can't stand around and keep fighting. She has to immediately retreat to the nearest carcass, which could spell disaster once she has puppies. So we have to be very careful with that and make sure she does not take a hit from a bear. The reason she's so afraid of bears is because a bear actually came after her, and she saw how badly it hurt her mother when Kaya tried to chase it off. So Kaya actually did not have a 4th litter because the bear attacked her. She was too injured, and even though she did recover, she was never quite as strong and fast as she used to be, and she didn't think they'd be able to handle raising another litter, especially as both of them were starting to get a little older. And with Kaya's injuries on top of that, they just thought it would be too big of a risk and that the puppies probably wouldn't make it. So they ended up not having a 4th litter, and that's why we're here with Nova and Andromeda right now. And we're definitely not going to run into that bull elk. So that actually brings us to Andromeda's side quest, because even though Andromeda does fear bears, if she can get a lot of experience in chasing them off, she does have a chance of overcoming that fear. So for every 20 bears that Andromeda manages to chase off, she gets to roll a dice, and she has a 1 in 6 chance of overcoming her challenge, which would completely negate it for the rest of her litter. So the sooner we chase off those 20 bears, the sooner we have a chance of being able to potentially overcome her fear. Now, it is kind of an unlikely chance, and it is quite a bit of work. Even Kaya only chased off about 20 bears in the entire time we followed her. So it is quite a bit of work. We'll probably have to go out of our way to chase off some bears. But if we can manage to do that, we do have a chance of her being able to overcome her fear and not even have to worry about a challenge for the rest of her story. So there's the elk. And then her ability is that she's very good at maneuvering in the open. She likes open spaces, and she's good at getting around in them. So she's not the most at home in these trees here. And when she goes to look for a mate, she may very well do so from the plains pack, the slough pack over in the open area you could see off to the upper left of the screen. She may very well head over there because she's much more comfortable in open spaces. And so her ability is that if she loses a pup to a predator in one of those open spaces, which would most likely only happen on the journey because we're really not in those spaces any other time, but if we did happen to be in there for some other weird reason, then we would indeed be able to save the puppy. But especially on the journey, we can save the puppy if it's in one of those open areas. So that is quite the interesting thing as well, because that would have actually allowed us to deal with the situation we had in or with Kaya and her story. If Kaya had that ability, and in fact we probably should have just gone ahead, it was kind of just instinct to jump in and say no, even though we did have an ability left, but it would have allowed us to cope with the situation, because we could have technically just backed off and just said, okay, bear's gonna attack, but we can go ahead and say we rescued the puppy anyway. We probably could have rescued Andromeda with that. It's kind of just instinct to leap in, but we need to remember we have those abilities, and by we I mean I, because that was pretty much my bad. It's very much instinctive, but I didn't remember at the moment that we had the ability to chase off a predator. Now, there's not really much she has to do with cougars, so if we see a cougar, we're not really obligated to fight it unless it's coming after our puppies. Unlike her brother, who can actually, gain the ability to survive attacks from a cougar if he does manage to chase them off. So for her, we're probably not going to worry too much about the cougars unless they're actually directly threatening us or our puppies. And the other thing is that Andromeda will be dealing with is that she'll be at whatever den we end up choosing for Nova's challenge for the year, because she and her brother are ultimately starting a pretty large pack. And it's not necessarily the most realistic thing. I don't know if it's ever been documented in the wild, but for the sake of the story, we're going to go ahead and say that they stuck together even after finding their own mates. But the thing is, Nova has always been a little bit more dominant than Andromeda, and because of that, she kind of lets him make a lot of the bigger decisions, him and his mate once he finds a mate. She kind of leaves a lot of the bigger decisions to them, because even though she is quite feisty and a little bit reckless even on her own, she still does she looks up to him as the slightly bigger brother. He's really not that much of a big brother. To be quite honest, they're probably only a short. They're from the same. They're litter mates, so if he's older, it's not by much. But she does tend to let him make a lot of the bigger decisions, and even we saw this as puppies, it was usually Nova who would wander first and Andromeda would follow him. So she's okay with letting her brother lead, and so he'll be the one who decides where the den will be, also because his challenge requires that he has to pick certain, he has to visit each of the 3 dens he hasn't already been to, basically. So we will be saying, though, that because they're part of a large pack, one bigger pack, that they will be sticking together at the same den and basically helping each other out. Again, not necessarily the most realistic situation in the world, but for the sake of the story, we're going to say it happened. Oh, ow. We got kicked by an elk on the way through. But for now, we're just trying to get Andromeda some experience so that she can even find a mate. We need to get her to at least 750. We're not going to run right by that bull elk. We'll go through a little bit this way. But we want to make sure that she can find a mate, and so she has to kill a few more elk. And we will be monitoring. The only stats we'll be monitoring for her as far as the overlays go is we'll be monitoring how many bears she's chased. And I do want to apologize too for not getting an episode out yesterday. I got it all recorded, but I had a lot of tech issues with actually getting everything overlaid correctly. You'll see those overlays by the time you have watched the episode, and you'll see them in this episode as well, provided I can get them working. But I have had some issues with them, and they're not the most refined thing in the world, so I'm working on making them look better, and I'm working on dealing with some of the blurriness that comes up. If you guys have noticed that they're a little bit blurry sometimes, I don't know how it'll end up looking on YouTube. I'm hoping it will kind of round out with YouTube's because YouTube isn't always the sharpest picture either, depending on what setting you have it on. But I really do want it to look good even in the highest resolutions, so I am trying to get that all worked out. But unfortunately that took me most of last night because I had major issues with it for quite a bit of the time. And we didn't get the episode out. So that episode will be going out earlier, and then this will be coming out a little bit later in the afternoon. But we will just have double episodes today. You'll get to meet both of our heirs this time. And that does bring up an interesting point that we'll have to address as the series progresses. So, obviously, if one of these guys dies, then their line will not end up, or maybe that's not the most obvious because it depends on if they have puppies or not. But if either of the wolves dies, like permanently dies, because Nova does have abilities that would keep him from dying depending on how many predators he's chased off. But if either of them dies, as in we can't revive them, dies, then they will not be able to produce an heir. They will get crossed off that list, potentially. That actually, you know what, you guys may have to help me decide on that one, because that's not necessarily a given. For a minute there I thought it would be, but it's actually kind of not. But the thing is, since both of these are the heir, both of them are capable of producing an heir, which means either we're going to be voting on possibly as many as 28 wolves. Which could be pretty crazy, and choosing an heir from just one of them, or we could continue to have, we could say Nova's offspring went one way and Andromeda's went another, and let's see how many, she has 600, so we need to kill 2 more elk. We could say their offspring each went one way and sort of formed 2 sub-packs, and in that case we would choose an heir for each pack at the end of this, or we could say they remained one big pack and they had, an heir and a sort of a side heir, sort of like we're doing here, except let's get this coyote too. We'll stop and chase the coyote because that's 25 experience. And if we can kill another coyote, that will give us an additional 25 experience, and then we wouldn't have to kill the extra elk. So here comes our elk. Or we could just go ahead and follow only one wolf, and you guys could vote between the many wolves, or we can figure out how exactly it will work, but we'll probably do that as the series progresses to see what other things potentially could happen through the course of the series. Here we go. Here's our elk. Alrighty. Hopefully we can just get one more coyote, because if we can get one more coyote, then we'll be able to just immediately go ahead and start looking for a mate. So, again, normally, siblings, even though they might disperse together, normally it's documented that they do split up when they find mates. But for the sake of the story this time, we're going to say that because Nova and Andromeda were so close as puppies, that they're going to actually end up staying together for their whole lives and just forming a larger pack. Food is good, or food, it's not scarce. They have a lot of, they're in a time of plenty, basically. Unless the annual event ends up changing that, and I will speak on that in a moment, but they end up like that. Those just end up staying together because they were very close as puppies, and I feel like they really did bond too, especially having to kind of help take care of their mom as they got older. When Kaya was recovering from her injuries, I feel like they really bonded through all of that, and Nova is pretty protective of Andromeda, I think. They really do care deeply about each other, and they have a very, very strong bond. And let's just, there we go. Dying to an elk would not be good. Andromeda, your brother almost did that yesterday. You don't do that this time, please. Don't die to the elk. Okay. So we're actually, I'm going to kind of bank on the idea of we're going to get ourselves over to the Slough territory, and I'm going to bank on the idea that there is an area that tends to have a lot of coyotes over by the Slough territory. And we're going to kind of hope we'll bump into one there. So, we'll just start running off that way. And we'll stop by, there's a rock where there's a bear that seems to live by this rock. And we'll go ahead and pop by there, because if we can get one bear chase this episode, that'd be excellent. Then we wouldn't even have to worry about the coyote. I think I see a coyote though. Okay, we can have a bear. Oh, we are. Okay, so you gotta be careful, Andromeda, because if you take a hit, you're just gonna have to run. Oh, wow. One hit. This poor bear. I feel like this poor bear just constantly gets chased off. Like, he pops up from behind his rock and it's just like, oh no, here's the wolves again. But that is one bear chased. And you are eating my carcass. No, that's not okay. This is my food. You go away. So we actually have enough to find Andromeda a mate now. We'll go ahead and start looking around just a little bit. And just see who we can potentially find. Now, the one thing to note, too, is that at least while they're on Amethyst Mountain, Andromeda and Nova really aren't sticking together that much. They kind of have they know they're in the same general area, and they know they're going to be moving on, but they've kind of split up for a little bit to look for mates. They're going to join up again once they get to Slough Creek, and they'll travel and help each other together from there. But for now, they're kind of doing their own thing a little bit. They're still close enough to keep in contact, to hear each other if they howl. And in fact, we'll probably do that when each of them finds a mate. We will go ahead and we'll give a nice little howl just to let the other know. And gosh, that's a good question though. I hear moose again. That's a good question. So if Andromeda finds a mate this episode, we still have at least one more. You know what we'd do then? We'd have at least one more episode with Nova. We might actually travel to the creek at the end and at least, or maybe we just figure out what den we're going to go to. I'd roll for the annual challenge, and then we go there first with Andromeda, and then just say that Nova's kind of leading the way, and she knew where he was going. They already discussed it beforehand, because it is Nova who makes the calls on different things a lot of the time. So who do we have here? Andromeda has never actually encountered a stranger wolf yet either. We have... oh, a dispersal male right away. Let's kind of circle him, because we do know that in the past, at least, this pack has had some wolves that have had trouble with mange. So we want to be kind of careful. I don't think he has mange. The reason we want to be kind of careful, you might say, oh, that's mean. We don't want to say we wouldn't take a mate just because he has mange, but actually mange is a very serious disease and could lead to the death of the puppies. So if a wolf has mange, we're probably not going to pick him or her as our mate, regardless of what wolf we're playing as, unless we have like a very specific challenge or something. Okay, he's quite a large wolf. Now, let's see. I'm trying to consider... I kind of like him. He looks a lot like Grandma Katari. Is that Grandma Katari? Yeah, at this point it is Grandma Katari. He does look a lot like Grandma Katari. He also kind of looks like the, one of the subordinate males that I've seen in this territory before. You know what, you guys? I like him. I like him. I think we're going to see if he's friendly and see if he is interested. I feel like Andromeda is a pretty friendly wolf for the most part. She can certainly be feisty when confronted, but for the most part, she is a fairly friendly wolf. And she's fairly outgoing. She's not super snappy or mean or anything. And she's not nearly as suspicious as a lot of our wolves have been. So I think she would kind of just be like, hey, you want to be friends? 'Cause that's sort of just how she is. Honestly, that's how both her and her brother can be. Unless one or the other is threatened, then they tend to be pretty cheery, pretty outgoing wolves. But yeah, I like him. I like him. That's a surprise, too. I didn't expect we would find a mate for Andromeda so soon. That went by really fast. It took us all last episode to just get Nova to enough experience. And here Andromeda is just like, oh, hey, Wolf. Hey, you want to be friends? So we'll go ahead and we will take him as our mate. And I'm trying to think, we need a good name for him. And we're probably just going to have a lot of space names this time because of how things worked out. And I think we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to call him Orion. And we will leave the arenas. So we have Andromeda and Orion are our first pair. And let's turn on names. Hello, Orion. And then we're going to actually kind of run up to this hilltop up here. And we will, I mean, this is sort of a hilltop. It's kind of not a hilltop, actually. We'll kind of just run off up here. And we will give a nice big howl to let Nova know that we have found a mate. And oh my, okay, first of all, we're going to deal with this guy. And hopefully this will be 2 bears down. Oh dear, okay. Can't take a hit, because if we take a hit, we're going to have to just immediately back off. Oh gosh, okay. I thought we took one for a second, but no, we didn't. We're just gonna run and bite in the rear. Just keep doing this. Andromeda, you're pretty good at this. Just keep giving this bear some nice little nips in the rear until he decides to leave us alone. And Orion's kind of just watching. Orion is like, what are you doing? That is a grizzly bear. You're gonna get yourself killed. Poor Orion doesn't know what he's into, what he's gotten himself into. Orion, you're gonna get whacked. You're gonna get whacked, Orion. Orion, don't stand there. Okay, now this has gotten personal. This has gotten personal. Orion, literally, do not just stand there while this bear whacks you. That's not okay. This bear does not want to get chased off. Hopefully we haven't bumped into an immortal bear. Oh, no, he's running. Okay. So that is 2 bears chased off. Is it gonna give us a message saying we chased him off? I don't know if it is. Does it actually show up in pack stats? Oh, you cheaty bear. You cheaty bear. We're gonna go over and bite him one more time because hopefully that will, Oh, good. Okay, Orion. That's fine. Okay, I guess we didn't actually chase him off. He just ran a little bit like we had. Oh, come on. Is this an immortal bear? Are you kidding me? Oh, did we get him? We got him! Yeah! There we go. Okay, so Orion seems to be fine. He just took several very heavy blows and kind of just walked off and then was okay, apparently. But we'll run up here to this little area and kind of overlook the mountain, and then we'll give a nice little howl. Oh my goodness, is that his howl? Is that his howl? I think that's Orion. Wait, which one is us? I'm pretty sure that the little bit goofy one is Orion. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. So we will leave Andromeda and Orion here for the episode, and next time we will be back with Nova as he tries to find himself a mate. So he knows now that Andromeda has found a mate, and they'll be meeting up on the way to Slough Creek. And that'll be kind of interesting too, because they won't have met each other's mates until then. But so I will see you guys next time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back with Nova, and until then, this is Jay, over and out.